kitchen table, a fingerprint in the dust on the mirror you forgot to wipe away. The kettle whistles a lonely tune that stays in the wrong key. Your teacup sits empty beside a stack of unpaid bills. The rhythm of the clock feels like a hammer hitting velvet. Gravity pulls a little harder on the edges of my vision. I'm sitting in shadows, stretching across the linoleum floor. The scent of old lavender and the sting of cold winter air. Broken melodies humming through the cracks in the drywall. A ghost of a touch that vanishes when I reach out to grab it. I hid the letters you wrote under the loose floorboard in the closet, knowing that reading them would be like swallowing broken glass. I regret the way I turned my back when you looked for a reason to stay, pretending I didn't see the tears blurring the path to the car. I never told you that I was the one who broke the compass. I wanted us to be lost so you couldn't find your way out. It was a selfish cage and I am the only one left in the cell. Crushing the remains of the pedestal I built for our misery. The distortion washes over the stains of the life we shared. Finally finding the strength to walk through the open door. The sun is rising over the debris of our shared history. No more ghosts lingering in the corners of my mind. The path ahead is clear and completely silent. Rust in salt water, silver frost on the windshield where you drew a heart with your thumb. I can still see the blur of it when the morning sun hits the glass. A tangled pair of headphones in the glove box we used to share, holding on to the tango echoing thrill through the empty hallway. I found the key to your apartment at the bottom of my winter coat, a useless piece of metal that doesn't open anything anymore. I regret the pride that kept my mouth shut while you were screaming, watching the ship sing, while I stood safely on the shore. I knew the end was coming weeks before you even packed a bag. I sabotaged the peace because I didn't know how to handle the quiet. I am the architect of the ruins I am currently standing in. Tear the sky open and let the rain wash the rust away. The weight of the unspoken is finally crashing down on the floor. I am screaming into the void and hearing the echo die out. The unfinished goodbye is finally written in the dirt. Walking away from the wreckage without looking back once. The air is cold and fresh and finally mine to breathe. Concrete rising, the street lamp flickers like a dying nerve. A rusted swing set creaks against the dirt. Shadows stretch thin across the peeling pain, while the heavy air tastes of iron and grease. My pulse is racing again. like a locked iron gate. I'm terrified I'll wake up 60 years from now, still staring at the same cracked ceiling boards, hating every breath I took inside this cage. Shattered silence with a desperate prayer, burning all the oxygen in this poison air. The horizon is a blade that cuts the world in two, running till the gravity can't hold me here with you, with you. With a voice I don't know, watching the static begin to overflow. My pulse is a rhythm that I can't quite catch, a cold and a fever that I cannot unlatch. There's a parasite feeding on the thoughts in my brain, turning my logic into something profane. The clouds are bruised purple and heavy with lead, echoing words that should never be said. I'm climbing the ladder of a sinking ship, trying to loosen the devil's own grip. I'm purging the static from the center of my soul. Taking the fragments and making them whole. I'm fighting the monster that lives in the screen, becoming the person that I've never been, cleaning the canvas and making it green. I pulled the plug and the room went dead, clearing the noise from the back of my head. The silence is heavy, but the silence is mine, a boundary drawn at the edge of the line. I'm reprogramming the way that I breathe, watching the shadows finally leave. The horizon is stretching like a wire on a boat, ready to launch me where I need to go. I'm feeling the heat of a sun that is new, burning away all the things that weren't true. I'm rewriting the code of the ghost in the wire, walking through walls and walking through fire. I'm claiming the throne that I left in the dirt, finding the power beneath all the hurt, giving my spirit the ultimate spurt. An ocean of glass and a mountain of salt, finding the keys to the heavy steel vault. I'm digging for gold in a graveyard of tin, unlocking the beauty that's buried within. No more hiding. darkness destroys. Riff slows down to a crawl. Complete me. The ceiling is bleeding, I'm holding a knife. Static in the rafters cutting through the light. They wipe my jaw with the silver-plated light, but the hunger in the basement is starting to cry. Dust on the records and rust on the chain. I'm rewriting the chemistry inside of my brain. Breaking the walls down to breathe in the fire. Raising my fist in the funeral pyre. No more strings on the puppet of shame. I'm lighting the match and I'm killing the concrete echoes of a ghost town mind, leaving all the polished plastic poisons behind. Kick the pedestal until the idols crack. There's a freight train coming and it's never coming back. Chaos is a rhythm that I finally found, while the keepers of the order are underground. Shatter the silence with a thunderous roar, kicking the locks off the heavy-set door. No more anchors dragging my soul. I'm losing my grip and I'm taking control. Cold, the shadows are stretching long. Whispers, where did the light go wrong? I'm digging a hole to bury the fear, waiting for the storm to finally appear. Explode from the ashes of a wasted youth, swallowing the venom and spitting the truth. Finally rising above the decay. I'm burning the map and I'm walking away. Right roads. Oh, stains on the driveway look like Rorschach blots. The smell of burnt rubber hangs in the humidity. I'm staring at the mountain that blocks out the sun, feeling the weight of the valley on my shoulders. Teeth grinding against the silence of the afternoon. The engine is a heartbeat thudding in the driveway. Melt the silver of my youth to forge a new path, screaming into the hollow night until the stars shake. I am the light. crust of the earth, crust of the earth. Cracked pavement feels like dry skin under my boots. The sunset is just a bruise that refuses to heal. I see the same cars circling the same tired blocks, trapped in a loop that I am finally breaking. I hid the suitcase under the bed like a weapon of war. I am a coward who finally found the strength to betray this friend. chest where the demons of doubt have built the dark nest. I'm a passenger sitting in a ghost-driven car, trying to remember where the exits all are. The mountains are leaning over the edge of the town, waiting for the moment that the sky will fall down. I'm gathering the embers from a fire gone cold, turning my story into something bold. I'm ripping the mask off the face in the dark, igniting the wood with a desperate spark. I won't be a prisoner of the things I've done wrong, finding the melody in a dissonant song. This is the moment where I finally belong. I turned the light on and the shadows all fled, replacing the poison with the truth instead. The phantom that followed me is starting to fade, just a trick of the light and the choices I made. I'm drawing a circle around where I stand, planting my flag in this desolate sand. The stars are aligning in a jagged new line, showing me the path that is rightfully mine. The tide is retreating from the shore of my mind, leaving the wreckage of the past far behind. I'm shattering the chains that were forged in the gloom, making some space in this crowded room. I'm breathing the air that I once thought was thin, finding the strength that was hidden within. This is the day that I actually win. A skyscraper built out of bone and regret is crumbling down in a storm of thick sweat. I'm catching the lightning in both of my hands, rewriting the laws of these internal ends. Break the cycle, tear it down. I'm wearing the scars like a crown on my head, reclaiming the light from the things that I said. I'm the architect now of the future I see, finally becoming what I'm meant to be. The chains are all broken and I'm finally free. The smell of damp wool and old paperback books lingers in the hallway, tracing the outline of where your shadow used to rest by the door. I found a single copper coin you dropped behind radiator, a tiny piece of history gathering dust in the corner. The I kept the voicemail where you didn't say anything at all. Just the sound of the wind and the engine idling in the rain. Regret tastes like iron and the salt of 1,000 unspoken apologies. I should have chased the taillights instead of locking the deadbolt. I was the one who let the fire go out on purpose. I watched the embers die because I was too afraid to keep them warm. My cowardice is a lead weight in my chest that won't dissolve. It won't dissolve. Burn the maps and tear down the walls of this hollow sanctuary. The silence is screaming for a resolution that won't ever. I am finally breathing the smoke of everything we left behind. Wreckage is beautiful in the fading light. I am letting the tide take the pieces of us away. Goodbye is a word that finally tastes like freedom. The greatest. To dancing in the column of gray, waiting for the sun to just wither away. I'm tracing the patterns of cracks in the stone, feeling the marrow go cold in my bone. A voice in the basement is calling my name, and I'm the only one left who can carry the blame. The floorboards are groaning like a ship on the sea, trying to swallow the essence of me. I'm lighting a candle in a cavern of ice, refusing to pay the same old price. I'm waking up from a decade of sleep, climbing the walls that were jagged and steep. I'm shaking the cobwebs off of my soul, taking back everything that they stole, finding the pieces to make myself whole. Yeah, I walked down the stairs and I looked in the eye of the monster who told me that I had to die. I didn't use weapons, I didn't use force, I just changed the direction and the path of the course. He shriveled to nothing when I spoke the truth, reclaiming the fire I had in my youth. Yeah, the window towards a brighter day. I'm painting the world in a color that's bold, refusing to do what I've always been told. Breaking the shape of the internal mold. I am the architect, I am the stone, I am the marrow inside of the bone. I'm tearing the fabric of the dark night and flooding the hollow with a blinding light. I'm coming home, I'm alright. I'm the master of every shadow I face, running the world at my own kind of pace. I found the identity I thought I had lost. No matter the struggle, no matter the cost, I'm walking away from the internal frost. I am all I have, my soul. There is a dampness crawling up the drywall tonight, a silhouette that moves without a flicker of light. It whispers secrets I buried under the floor and rattles the handle of the locked cellar door. My reflection is a stranger with hollowed out eyes, feeding on the silence and the weight of my sighs. I can feel the gravity beginning to shift, a crack in the ceiling where the shadows all drift. The air is thickening like oil in the lungs, speaking in the rhythm of forgotten tongues. I'm tearing through the paper skin of my own fears, facing down the ghost that's been haunting my ears. I won't let the darkness take a hold of the wheel, learning once again how it's supposed to feel to be human and broken but finally real. I struck a match and watched the cellar ignite, bringing every secret out into the white. The monster in the corner is smaller than I thought, just a collection of battles that I never fought. I'm taking the keys back from the phantom's hand, reclaiming the borders of my own holy land. Now the walls are dissolving into the gray smoke, breaking every promise that I never quite broke. The pressure is rising like a flood in the hole. I'm standing upright against the weight of it all. I'm crushing every lie that I used to believe, giving myself the space and the permission to grieve. I'm dragging the truth out from the bottom of the well, escaping the architecture of my own private hell. Ring the alarm, found a heart that was turning to dust. I'm pouring the ocean into the flame, scrubbing the soot from the ghost of my name. Identity found in the wreckage of the sun. Escape. The silence is a predator, and I'm the only bait. I've been standing on the platform just to learn how to wait, but the train is a skeleton and the tracks are a lie, and I'm looking at the ceiling till the clouds start to die. I've got a fist full of static and a mouth full of grit, and I'm finally ready to admit that I quit. Kick down the barricade and run for the hills. I'm done with the doctors and the porcelain pills. I'm a wild-eyed animal finding its teeth and shedding the mask that was buried beneath. Graffiti on the soul and a permanent ink. It's a long way down and I'm starting to sink, but the bottom is a floor where I can finally stand, and I'm drawing a line in a shifting sand. Your version of perfect is a coffin of me, and I'm taking the lock but I'm losing the key. Ignite the fuel in the engine of hate. I'm rewriting the lines of a prepackaged fate. No more apologizing for the space that I take. I'm the tidal wave following the earthquake. Deep breaths, the air is getting cold. Old stories that were never told. I'm the shadow in the corner of your eye, waiting for the old self to finally smash the glass, let the water pour out. I'm the only scream in a world full of doubt. Break, break, break wide, break down. I'm wearing the thorns like a heavy metal crown. Oh, yeah. Silver frost on the windshield where you drew a heart with your thumb. I can still see the blur of it when the morning sun hits the glass. A tangled pair of headphones in the glove box we used to share. Holding on to the tangles as if they were a lifeline to the past. The engine hums a low frequency that rattles my very bones. The horizon's blurring into a bruised shade of purple and gray. Shimmering grief dancing like dust motes in a beam of light. The hollow ring of a phone that no one is going to answer. Velvet darkness swallowing the crumbs of a final meal together. A symphony of sighs echoing through the empty hallway. I found the key to your apartment at the bottom of my winter coat. A useless piece of metal that doesn't open anything anymore. I regret the pride that kept my mouth shut while you were screaming. Watching the ship sink while I stood safely on the shore. I knew the end was coming weeks before you even packed a bag. I sabotaged the peace because I didn't know how to handle the quiet. I am the architect of the ruins I am currently standing in. Tear the sky open and let the rain wash the rust away. The weight of the unspoken is finally crashing down on the floor. I am screaming into the void and hearing the echo die. The unfinished goodbye is finally written in the dirt. Walking away from the wreckage without looking back once. The air is cold and fresh and finally mine to breathe.